dig right in here and maybe there we go. We'll dig right in. If you couldn't hear that, Tom, appreciate it. Tom Warrensburg, my buddy. This Stein, old historic Stein, 1860 to 1919. 1860 goes back even before the Bushes got involved. That was just the old Eberhard Anheuser. Let's talk. So now the special session, Masbada seems like there could be a deal. It seems like if everybody kind of gives a little, there's a deal for Masbada. And you thought that would be the hard part, and the tax could be the easy part. Wrong. They had a meeting. It went from the 30 people of the whole hire a delegation last week down to about 7 folks. I think you're going to wait. They're going to try to get an agreement before they come out with a bill. We'll see how that works. The House right now is kind of way pretty high. The Senate's a little lower. Governor's somewhere in the middle. I don't. I think right now you've probably got a number. So if you did the governor's number, the revenues are the extra money's depleted in like 27, 28. If you do the House's plan, the excess revenue, the cushion they have to deal with the expense side of inflation, which if you're in business, inflation has a double-edged sword. Like everything in life, the businessman's the one that gets hit and takes all the grief. I think it's like 25, 26 is when the cushion will be gone. And that's assuming that it's an easy thing. And this is where a W-2 Republican can get in deep, right? A W-2 Republican sits down and says, oh, revenues are up because of inflation. Well, great. We'll just cut taxes, which is fine. Generally a good thing. But you also have that expense side, right? So the reason the sales tax, which is a percentage of what you make, if it's a percentage of what you make, then by the same token, what you're spending is gonna trail on sales tax, right? So with your sales tax, those expenses are gonna come back, and it's gonna bite them. To me, government always has, especially Republicans, they want to do something, right? And I get it. You come to Jeff City. Imagine how hard it would be. Imagine how hard it would be if you got elected this November, and you're like, by God, let's do this. I'm coming here to cut taxes. We're like, we've already cut taxes to the point where probably the Supreme Court's going to make us raise them to fund schools. Okay. I'm going to get rid of abortions. Sorry, pal. Abortions are already gotten rid of. Well, I'm going to make sure 4-year-olds can have Uzis. Well, damn. Hate to be the bearer of good news, but 4-year-olds already have Uzis. But it would be deflating, right? So you get into stuff like, well, let's end public education. I know, that'll be great. There's some perverts from the East Coast that come in here to fundraise on us, and let's see what they are. Well, it's just the truth is it's a bad deal. The Democrats never had an ideologically aligned majority. They had a majority on labor unions and trial lawyers. That's about it. The Democrats never had anything like this for this long. An ideologically aligned supermajority. No government is set up to function that way. But this is where they are. So they're fighting about whether to cut taxes a conservative amount or just put the state in a bad way. But again, you want to do something. Then you get somebody on Facebook that says, "Oh, this isn't worth doing." Now, in a business, you'd probably sit down, cut taxes a little bit, and cut them a little bit again, right? And then you'd sit down and you'd revamp and go back at it as your revenues stabilize, or you know where you're going to cut. I don't think anybody knows where they're going to cut in 27, 28, or 25 or 26, right? Nobody knows where you cut this money out of. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to me, like it will be for you to see what they do. I'll give you a sign of knowledge prediction. I will predict to you that the Senate will go into session. Hopefully they'll file 2 bills, a Masbada only, then a Masbada and a tax cut. Probably just start with one. It'll go through committee. It will be probably something around the $700 million the governor says they can afford. Fair enough. It'll go on the floor. It'll get debated. It'll ultimately rise a little. They're throwing out all kinds of ideas right now. It's kind of spitball time, and this is the problem about having a special session and not having a deal already. That is the problem that you run into, is you don't quite know how you don't really have a plan out of it. So what they have set up is something that's going to be a little challenging, I think, if I had to guess. So I think they'll pass. The Senate floor, that bill probably moves up and becomes a little more expensive. And they go to the House, they can plan, throw a fit, and then pass it. That would be my take. I don't think the new head of the Club for Broke is going to screw up the tax cut. But it's like a Steven Knowledge prediction with a caveat. Could be wrong. We could see. But I would tell you, if I had to guess, this goes one of two ways, right? You're gonna have either a tax cut that gets filed somewhere around $700 million, bumps up a little bit to 758, right? Passes the Senate, goes to the House, they grumble and pass it, or they complain and they actually don't, which is possible. I doubt it. Then what you're going to have is Speaker Plocher, and while you have Dean Plocher is more of a Reagan Republican, and he is not so much of a Clinton Republican. He is more of a Reagan Republican. And Dean Plocher believes if you spur Missouri's business economy, that you will create more jobs and put more money in everyone's pocket. Now, I don't know how public he'll be with these remarks, but I've been told you have a Reagan Ashcroft bond in the room, and you have more Clinton style. Clinton did a tax cut. JFK did a tax cut. They were targeted personal taxes. Dean Plocher has a view probably where I think he'd still cut personal rates too. But I think if there'll be a tax cut, whether it's in October, which will take 60 days to go into effect. So it'll go into effect sometime in December, probably late November, early December. So it's not that much different than if you come back. When you come back, they'll have the ability to move an emergency clause and move this through. You're probably, if they don't get it done next week, you're really, there's a date in there where, it's very marginal to what it matters if you come back in January and do it. If you have a deal. Well, I think Dean Plocher, you'll have a deal. But I think if you have a deal there, it's going to look a lot more like a Reagan deal than a Clinton deal, if I had to guess. I think Dean Plocher will insist on your traditional Republican Reagan-style tax cuts that, let's be honest, worked very, very well. Oh, man, Aaron Baker. Your boy Albert is as impressive as everyone says, Aaron. You're right about that. But I think you'll see more of a Reagan-style tax cut than a Clinton-style tax cut if Dean does it. I think you're going to have one either way. It's just, is the Senate going to negotiate with the current House leadership or the next House leadership? If you negotiate with the next House leadership, well, this will be just personal property tax rate cuts, kind of like a Clinton-type situation. Where the Republicans in 94 had him reduce the taxes. I think what you'll see is much more of a Reagan situation where it's the trickle down, something DO economics, as they would say on Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It'll be much more of a Reagan style approach to boosting the economy. We'll see what happens. I predict they will pass something. You have too many people's jobs that you have one person's job, and you have most people's tax cuts that they want to do it. Let's talk about the roast of Caleb Rowden. I'm going to list off you some folks that is going to be fun. I've told you about Huff, Rizzo, Fitzwater. Going to be great. I've got a couple folks that have said they will, but I don't want to say their name. I need to look them in the eye and make sure, because it can get a little intimidating. We will have a very own John Dargier will tell us some jokes. That'll be fun. Then a guy that I am personally pretty stoked about. We're going to have Razor come up, tell a few, which will be funny. I've got two other folks that I got to make sure. I got to triple confirm. I think I've been texting a guy, and it's been the wrong number, funny enough. So I'm thinking, but one guy I know is coming. This will probably be the highlight of the show. Ron Richards coming up. Cinder Richards is going to come and tell some jokes. It is going to be great. Ron Richards could make anything funny. You know what I mean? When he talks like a job creator for job land. Mine sounds like a McKenna doing Ron Richard more than a Ron Richard, but we all have our Ron Richard impersonation about the job creator for job land. So that's going to be fun. We'll see how it all shakes out. But I'm kind of excited. I'm very excited about the roast. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And then I've got a surprise roaster. Step back for a moment, if you will, and think off in the distance, and think about who would be the one person that you would want to come to the Soybean Association on Monday night and watch roast Caleb Brown. Indeed, that's exactly who our surprise roaster is. I can't tell a soul, but it's going to be outstanding. Talk about a couple of things. Got some questions here. The Southeastern Legal Foundation got their ass kicked. Yes, they did. Question. It was just a question mark. Southeastern Legal Foundation got their ass kicked by Missouri schools and Chuck Hatfield. Yes, that's if you were Jim Ross, that's what you would say happened. If you were Joyce Sides, oh my God, it was a total ass whipping. And I'll tell you, in these things, you can either be for the out-of-state some bitches fundraising on Missourians, or you can be for the Missourians. I can tell you where I am. I'm for the Missourians. And the Missourians taught them East Coast boys a thing or two about law. I think old Chuck shoved that boot right up the ass. I don't know much about law, but when they kick the case out just right away and say go fundraise somewhere else, that Judge Jacobs, let me tell you, that guy's been tossing tough cases. I mean, holy cow, he's had all kinds of hairy things he had to deal with. And I'll tell you, overall, the guys. I mean, look, I'm not the one that should judge a judge, but from the opinion I get of more people that I talk to that actually are qualified to judge a judge, he's done very well, very, very well. Real bright guy. So we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, he told them to get the hell back to the East Coast, so that was awesome. I think you're going to see some of this stuff wind down. Look, here's the bottom line. Okay, here's the question. Well, what should people do if they want to know what's going on in their school? I'll tell you. So I think the Attorney General's office is a fine place to call if you see something, you hear about something going on in your school that you're not sure about. But maybe first try calling your school, right? Call your old football coach. Call your old principal. Call your old history teacher and say, hey, I heard about whatever, right? I mean, because you know me, I wasn't for that. I have some sympathy for people because I think they thought they were helping folks, but name me a bigger critic of the mask crap than me. But I'll tell you this. Fact of the matter is, I talked about this with Pete Mundo this week. A lot of this is stirred up stuff because you got to charter school folks want more of your tax dollars. That's what a lot of this is about. And good, I mean, look, there's a lot of lobbyists that want a lot of tax dollars, right? That's what lobbyists do. That's what businesses do. They're fighting over their piece of a pie. Most fights in Jeff City are two rich people fighting over $1. And you can argue that's similar piece here. So what you got is if you see something and you hear about, I heard somebody tell me that there was a walk of shame. Now that ended up probably not being true, but because you were like white and straight or something, a guy. You get that every day in your own way and hear that. But so call the school, ask them. I mean, call the teacher, call one of your teachers at the school and say, hey, what's going on? I don't know when your old baseball coach became your enemy, but B.A. Alexander, Coach Alexander, as I would call him this day, is not my enemy. Coach Brad Haygood, who's the superintendent out of Doniphan, is not my enemy. They're not yours either. We can all get ticked off every day about that, but I can take you to, so Pete Mundo was like, well, we need educational freedom. And I'm like, you're free to move anywhere you want to move to go to school. This is America. This is Missouri. Move where you want. Grab that brass ring. What's that old bootstraps line? They like to tell people all the time. Move wherever you want. But I was like, Pete, do you think the citizens of the World Charter School is fostering a bunch of young conservatives? I mean, I'm just a simple hillbilly. Pete's a highly educated radio man. But I'm pretty sure that's horseshit. They're not. It's one of the most liberal things you've ever seen in your life. But they don't get the scrutiny because they don't have a football team. They don't have a school board. They get to skip. They don't. Nobody. And there's folks that'll make sure the elected officials are don't speak very loudly against it. They say, I've heard many folks, Fawn, you're a Republican. Why are you talking about a charter school? Why? I'll tell you why. Because I'm a rural Missourian. I say Missouri the right way. And if you say Missouri the right way, then folks ain't your friends. Not saying they're bad people. Not saying they don't have a good case. Not saying you vote for them. That's all your business. I'm saying that don't listen to folks that say Missouri like you do. Might trust those folks a little more if I were you. Just my old white trash, hillbilly opinion. But yeah, no, Hatfield beat that ass. There's no question. I mean, whew. They'd be back to looking for glory holes on the Chattahoochee River. What else going on? The U.S. Senate race. Look, I'll just tell you. I think Trudy Bush, wonderfully nice woman. I'll be upfront with you. I had it rented. I went and bought a case. I mean, if you watch this podcast or watch this weekend update, you knew how the election was going to turn out. You could either stay up late, read the returns, or you could just view right here, side of knowledge. I told you who was going to win the Senate race. All you got to do, you can read the Kansas City Star, the Columbia Tribune. You could read the Independent. You could read the Post-Dispatch. You could read the Tribune, or you could listen to this, and you'll know way earlier what the news is going to be. Sign of knowledge. When you get kinfolks that are gypsies, what happens? Two other things real quick. The Senate race, look, I think Trudy Bush is a very nice person. Probably do a fine job in the U.S. Senate. The fact of the matter is, just like John Wood, when Eric Greitens didn't win, that meant that either Hartzler or Schmidt, but frankly, Schmidt is a better politician, evidenced by his enormous win in a six-way field. Eric Schmidt's an excellent politician who's going to win this race. He's the extreme favorite. All this debating over debates. I mean, every day that something awful doesn't come out about Eric Schmidt is another great day for him. And by awful, I mean it's got to be bad. Eric Schmidt is the large favorite. Trudy Bush, a very nice person. That John Wood, I mean, even Danforth couldn't keep him in the race. Smart. I mean, what was the point? You shave off 4 or 5 points, Schmidt wins. Undecided people, let me just help you out. Undecided people are for the Republican at about 3-1. Undecided folks, they just are in this state. So anytime you take a poll in a partisan race, which we don't even have during elections anymore, but if we did, undecideds are probably 3-1, maybe 2-1, but 3-1, 2-1 Republican every time. Never seen them not be. So here's the deal. I would, if I were you, I would, if I'm the Democrat, you run hard. You want to keep your numbers up for an Ashley Aune, for Robbie Sauls. You want to keep those numbers up for Tracy McCreary, and she'll do that. She will do very well. She will do better than anybody else running for the Democrats we're going to do. And probably come short, just being honest with you. Pivoting from there, last thing, we have the marijuana thing. Oh, a big court case today. I saw the guys that that put it on the ballot. They that want recreational marijuana. Alexander Holt's got the queen on his Facebook thing. That's nice. Alexander Holt has they have Ellinger and Bell. Talk about a hot hand right now. Mark Ellinger, 70 Bell, had about the hottest hand in this business. I wouldn't want to run up against them right now. They are on a very hot streak. I have no idea what all the different arguments are, but if I was at the racetrack, I'd probably take my ticket on Ellinger and Bell right now if I just had to pick. But that's me, and I also think they're going to lean toward the signatures being valid because the Secretary of State has it. Jay Ashcroft does a good job. A sleeper one is going to be Crystal Quade. I really think the sleeper one there. If she's got an opponent that could get kicked off the ballot. That's that one. I've seen that one. That one's a little, I don't know, a little suspect to me. But yeah, Monday night, Soybean Association, the Roast of Caleb Brown, 30 under 30 event, going to be outstanding. I'll probably pop back on this weekend. Talk another, if any of you care to be bored to tears on the weekend, while the Cardinal game is not on. By the way, look at the boys. Look at Missouri varsity. Outstanding. Scott-Toberfest is a week away. I can't wait. Anyhow, be lots of fun. Scott-Toberfest always a fun time of year. The Rose is fun. You're going to love Ron Richard. I've got some great jokes. I mean, I might just put a loop of one of the Christian rock music videos. Caleb's a really talented artist, but something about the Christian rock thing reminds me of that South Park episode about when he had a Double Murr album. So it's going to be a great time. I hope all of you could come join us. Just come on out, Soybean Association. We'll have you something to drink, something to eat. It's going to be a good time. Join us then, and then we'll go. We'll have a big time, and then we'll watch special session together. We'll come back and visit this Sunday. Jay Ashcroft on the show, and we'll be back here probably sometime Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning for this weekend Missouri Politics Midweek Update. See you then.